So Ric Flair yells, Kevin Nash beats up David Flair, and we have a bunch of matches that happen 6 days before a pay-per-view. I'm John Rentham with the Retro Review of WCW Nitro from February 12, 2001. The go-home Nitro for Super Brawl Revenge, and slam us right into a match between Rick Steiner and Dustin Rhodes, because Ernest the Cat Miller said, hey, I'm going to have Dustin Rhodes wrestle, even though Ric Flair said that he couldn't. I'm going to reinstate him. And then Rick interrupts and says, Dustin, you're out of here. Don't touch anybody, or I'm going to take you for every penny you have. And then Flair's like, we run the world. Here's Miller. And he says, I reinstated Dustin. I'm going to reinstate my foot up your ass. A lot of ass stuff from Miller, and I don't understand that. So he says, he says, I'm going to continue to, be a thorn in your side. And Flair says, well, I've had it. You're going to face Storm for the commissionership. And Mike Sanders is going to be the referee. Yeah, this is going to be fair. So then Rick says to Chavo backstage before this match happens, Ray changed the plans, and he ended up beating you last week when he impersonated that El Nino guy. It's such a bizarre thing where we obviously knew it was Rey Mysterio underneath that mask. Anyway, we have Miller versus Storm, Sanders as a ref, commissionership on the line, and basically Miller beats up Sanders, and then Sanders responds in kind by beating up Miller. What the fuck did Miller think was going to happen? Yes, Sanders was going to show favoritism, but my God, I mean, you attack the ref, that's going to fucking happen. But I can't necessarily blame Miller for it, but it was ill-advised because he hit the feedliner, no ref, he got the maple leaf slapped on, and we got a screw job finish. So Storm is the commissioner until Super Brawl when Miller beat him. Yeah, they really didn't know what they were doing at this point. Then I think the commissionership just got fucking ended right after that because the company was going under. And we needed to give Ric Flair more time to shout continuously on camera to the point that we got sick of him, even though he's Ric fucking Flair. So Rick then says, hail the new commissioner. Let's make mincemeat out of the cat. And then here's Nash. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Oh, I have your son that's just suddenly back on television for some reason. And he makes demands. Storm will face Miller for the commissionership of Super Brawl Revenge. And Dustin faces Rick tonight. And if Dustin wins, Nash gets a shot at Scott Steiner for the world title. A lot of world title matches being given away on WCW television, but it is what it is. He says, I'm running the show. I'm going to make this right. I'm going to win the world championship. Yeah, about that. Nash is actually going to go home after Super Brawl Revenge. Never to be seen on WCW programming again. Rick then tells Sanders, find Dustin. Give him anything he wants. And then Totally Buff talks to Palumbo No Hair. He wants you on the team. He wants all the gold on the team. The Magnificent 7 will become the Magnificent 14 if they keep recruiting people like this. But math was never, necessarily the strong suit of Luger and Buff. It's not like Steiner math. All hail Steiner math. So then Dustin says to Sanders, I got my own plans. Go on, get out of here. I'll stick this boot up your ass. So much ass booting. What the hell's going on, WCW? Lash LaRue versus Yang. Well, it was a qualifier match, 10-minute time limit for a 4-corner, 6-way match of Super Brawl Revenge. Again, math, not WCW's strong suit outside of Scott Steiner. All hail Steiner math. So it wasn't exactly great. Both these guys are good athletes, but it was kind of sloppy. It went on way too long, and you wouldn't think a 10-minute time limit match would go on too long. They were just doing moves for the sake of it, and a lot of people really didn't fucking care. And they were trying to make things work. We got a Yang Salt for 2, and a corkscrew dive 1, 2, 3, so there we go. Yang goes to Super Brawl. And then we get Rick to Sanders. Oh, you couldn't get a deal? Well, you're going to have to deal with Scott Steiner in 15 minutes unless you can get Dustin to agree to something. Give him anything he wants within reason. Dustin says, anything I want a U.S. title shot at Rick Steiner after I beat him tonight. Okay, fair. Why not give the U.S. championship to Dustin Rhodes, who at this point probably should have been just in the mid-card anyway. Then Mean Gene talks to Stasiak and Jindrak and says, Stasiak, you carry Palumbo? That's a fucking joke. And then Miller's talking to DDP, says, hey, Muhammad Ali said, you've only been beaten when you quit the fight. So, okay, it is what it is, something like that. Some of this stuff started to kind of become a blur to me because a lot of backstage segments really didn't mean anything. And DDP was doing the motivational speaking stuff even back then. And then Rick says, Animal, I know things may go south, so please be my insurance policy. Terrible, be my Valentine variation, but whatever. Rick versus Dustin, it wasn't bad. Rick did heal it up pretty goddamn well. We got a ref bump. Animal comes down. Dustin brawls with him. Rick attacks Dustin, but then gets hit with the chain from the back of the head, on the back of the head by Shane Douglas, who was upset that he got beat for the U.S. Championship. Shane Douglas, who was about maybe half as good as he thought he was in ECW, and at this point was maybe 5% as good as he still thought he was. But we get Dustin beating Rick, so basically Scott has to face Nash later. And then Dustin's leaving. Shane's in Rick's face. Animal comes down, comes to, and they decide to beat him up and target his arm. And then they were going to target his good arm because he got a cast on, one arm. And then what ended up happening is Dustin came down, but he got fought off pretty goddamn easily. You would have thought he would have put more effort in there. And then they busted Shane Douglas's good arm. Okay, whatever. Shane Douglas is a face. I really never fucking bought it. So then Rick and Scott yell at each other, and then we get Skipper versus Kidman qualifying match. It wasn't dull, I'll give it that, but it was a bit awkward. We got a lot of move spamming, and we got the Kidman Kid Crusher. Hopefully they didn't spell all of it with a K. 1, 2, 3. Skipper was underappreciated, and I think still is even now, but he was still finding himself at this point as far as like being, a big stage player. Would definitely, be a shining star in Impact, TNA Impact Wrestling. And not be compensated properly. Anyway, the match was fine. It was certainly better than Lash LaRue versus Yang. Scott then looks for Nash while he beats up some guy because he always loved beating up people backstage. Rick is on the phone with his wife, I assume, about David. He'll find David. Video package on DDP and Canyon to hype up their friendship and all that, and how Canyon has screwed over DDP. We get Stasiak versus Palumbo. Former tag partners explode. Tag champions, specifically. Wasn't bad. Wasn't great. We get a roll-up, 1, 2, 3. The most devastating maneuver in all professional wrestling. Holding the title, so Stasiak gets a victory, and then proves that he and Jindrak will win the tag titles on Sunday. It's not necessarily how it works, but it is what it is. DDP... in a Soprano shirt, he hypes up facing Jarrett at the pay-per-view, talks about Canyon. Here's Jarrett, the usual promo. Canyon tries a blindside attack, gets laid out with the diamond cutter, and then guitar shot stroke to DDP. So, okay. Jarrett's still breaking guitars and not drawing a goddamn dime. We then get Nash taking David to the ring, and he basically gets Ric Flair to come down there. Rick's like, I've done everything he asked, please don't hurt my son, and then jackknife to David. No, why would you do that? Oh no. David gets loaded into a limousine while Nash and Scott Steiner battle it out, and then he says, F it, I don't care if there's no interference, go down there and do something. So then Flair attacks Nash, which causes a DQ, and that pretty much takes us to Super Brawl, jackknife to Rick, pipe to the knee, oh no, he broke another leg, but then Nash basically just plays it off and then does the whole thing where he takes he does the wheelchair with the cast, and the cast is just there and it's actually not, his leg isn't goddamn hurt. What a swerve after Russo had been gone from the company. Not a bad episode, just not the best go-home episode. Anyway, agree, disagree what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.